And the Hollywood movie is called BottleShock, and probably one of the best films about wine ever, and at the same time too, really changed California wines.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, what I love about the film is that it captures the growers and the farmers and the winemakers and the artistry of the wine so well, and it really depicts them in this beautiful light of artists and creation of something that really is, and when you watch the film you'll get what I'm saying if you haven't already seen it. It's like liquid sunshine. And that's what they have, that term where they actually talk about it in the film, and I just think that is so true, especially of a Chardonnay like this. And if you haven't seen the film, we won't ruin it for you.
Go see it.
But yeah, just go see it. So spoiler alert, don't watch the next 30 seconds. But obviously in the film, it's about the Judgment of Paris, where the California wines go up against the French wines.
But it really changed the region. I mean, it put California wines on the map, because they were going up against all of the Chardonnays and the white Burgundies there, and they won. And everybody was kind of like, huh? And
shocked. Hence the name BottleShock.
Right, and
1976.
every single judge voted for them.
Blind vote, blind tasting, voted for the California wine. This Chardonnay, not this one because it's a different year, but the Chateau Montelena Chardonnay, and it shows you the trials and tribulations that they went through just to get there. And they were, now, if you know wine, you know Chateau Montelena. It's a very expensive wine. I mean, well, I wouldn't say very expensive. It's a medium-priced wine, but it's probably out of a lot of people's budgets. But if you want to splurge, you got to taste it just once, because it really is, it's something special, and it's different. And we love oaky buttery, and I would not call this oaky buttery.
No, and I agree with you. This, I can understand, and again, this is not the same wine that was judged 30, 40 years ago, but obviously from the same grapes.
Same vineyard.
I can understand why the French judges would like this.
Yeah, it's not over the top oaky buttery. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what it is very well balanced with like citrus and cream. And I think that's where it, like the finish of it, we were describing it as a really beautiful French champagne. The way that finishes with that just creamy finish, it's very much like that, but without a lot of oak. It's got a lot of citrus. I think in the tasting notes they talk about lemon meringue, creme brulee. All of that is very true. It's a beautiful wine.
It's definitely a Chardonnay, but to me it's got a little touch of a Sauvignon Blanc to it. This is something that you can have. For instance, we tried it with goat cheese. Fabulous with goat cheese. I could see you having this with fruit, just having something in the afternoon. At the same time, too, I could see having this with a chicken dinner. A really well done, nicely prepared chicken dinner. This would go perfect with it. I'm almost thinking the steak is going to be. I'd like to try it.
I think it would go great with duck. I think it would be really good with duck.
Absolutely.
Pork, obviously, that's kind of a no-brainer. Salmon, hands down for sure. I mean, even if you did like a smoked salmon caviar kind of like opening with this, be beautiful. Shrimp, any kind of seafood, be fabulous. But it just reminds me, like if you picture a really beautiful French champagne without the bubbles, that's the flavor that it reminds me of. I mean, it really is. It's hands down like one of the most diverse Chardonnays. I think flavor-wise, it's got so many layers, and depending on what you eat it with, like you said, we had it with goat cheese. I'm dying to try it with this truffle cheese. It really changes its flavor profile. It's so unique, and it's really just a beautiful wine.
And it's a California Chardonnay, but it's subtle. There's a lot of layers in there, but they're very, very subtle. So if you're looking for something huge and big, this might not be it. But if you're looking for something that's just got, it's got a wealthiness to it. It's about classiness to it. That's probably the best.
Right.
The best
It's a robustness, definitely a wealth to it and a robustness, and it captures a different type of aspect to the Chardonnay grape than if you're used to other kind of California Chardonnays. It does. And it's partly the wine production and the winemaking, but it's also the vineyards and where they grow the grapes. And Chateau Montelena is just, it's a great story. If you haven't seen the movie, go check it out. You will love it. If you love wine, you'll cry like I did. And
well, but you cry at $2 Chuck, so no. But to me, in the historical aspect, even though I'm not going to cry,
why not?
Well,
you should cry.
No, because this is more my very even-tempered sort of way about myself. Is that? But this wine has history behind it.
Yes.
And this wine is probably solely responsible for getting the word out that California wines were spectacular. And you have to remember, there were so many vineyards that closed down in 1919, had been there for the 19th century early part, and then Prohibition hit, and they had to close down. And then it was these entrepreneurs who went out west, who started it again, and they started from scratch, even though the soil was still there and the conditions were perfect. And the fact that they did this, and the French kind of looked down on American wines
absolutely.
for a long time. And when this came out,
still do to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, this is a disruptive wine.
Yeah,
this was very disruptive.
Right. It was
back in the mid-70s.
Unprecedented. I mean, the French could not believe that they had voted a California wine.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
So
that was sacre bleu.
Mon Dieu.
And we do love French wines, by the way, too.
Yes,
so
we do.
Not to discount those at all.
But drink a little history. I think it's lovely. And if it was wine, we wouldn't tell you to do that. But because there's so much history behind it, it's still a great wine.
It's not everywhere, so you might have to hunt a little bit. You might have to order it online. You might have to do a little work to get it, but it's absolutely worth it. You've got to have it in your wine history and repertoire of having tasted it. And the longer you have it open and the warmer it gets, it changes. Like even as we're sitting here, from when we first tasted it with the goat cheese, which was before we started rolling the cameras, it's changed already, and it's so beautiful. It's just a beautiful, delightful glass of wine that you can drink with a lot of things, or on its own for that matter.
Yeah, so treat yourself in a little history, and we're going to enjoy this, and then we're going to probably go for another wine that she'll cry over as well.
Indulge in some liquid sunshine.